Real benefit, another benefit to doing a home green, and the materials being used, for example, like at Santash's store, it's not creating this toxic off-gassing
Right.
that you find in many other homes.
Right. Well, like I know one of the things that I think is really toxic is when they put that carpeting down, and it's not just the darn carpet, but it's the glue that they use.
The glue and the pads. Generally, the padding below the carpet is probably 3 times more toxic than a toxic carpet itself.
Right.
And that's a very important choice that people have to make.
Then they have, and what kind of pad alternatives do they have?
There are multiple alternatives for it. There are man-based materials, and there are jute or wool-based padding available now.
And now the man-made materials. Do you know what the material is?
Yes, it's a foam-based material
Right.
that has the lowest VOCs for any pad. It's called a healthy choice pad. That's made
So it's low VOC, not
extremely
it's not
low
no,
VOC.
but yeah.
It's not no, but it's extremely low.
Well, that's good.
But you could get wool carpet pads too,
Right.
Which would be none.
which would be none. Yes.
Right.
But they always put a little bit of glue down to hold that pad from moving. And do you know what kind of glues they're using for that? That's
Nowadays, most of the installers who are aware of green, at least the ones that we use, will just use double-sided tape around the edges so that
So
the
eliminate
carpet
the
doesn't
glue.
move. They
That's a
eliminate the
good
glue.
idea.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
In the city of Scottsdale, we've that's been in our guidelines for day one, is alleviating the glue that would take to normally secure a pad. While
yes.
Yeah, even the water-based glues are toxic. A lot of the water-based glues.
Yes.
I mean, they're just so
Less
strong.
so, but yeah, they're
Yeah.
still not perfect, are they?
No.
No, they.
Interesting. And then, of course, the paints and wall surfaces and those. Everything's become much more accessible. It's nice to see the market has changed to people that are conscientious in the way that they want to approach, doing these renovations or remodels, as you will.
Yeah.
Years ago, I know Doug and I used to go to great lengths to find these very obscure companies that were difficult. Even remember the paints from Levos and
Yeah, we had to
Plant
import
Chemistry.
we had to import
Germany.
paints from Germany.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only place where you could buy a paint that was non-toxic.
And that's how we kind of got into it too. Well, actually, it was through our career of 30 years. It cycled through. The 70s were real big on energy efficiency, and then as that kind of energy was still relatively cheap, most of our clients weren't so focused on energy efficiency, but the health. And many people were interested that we dealt with.
Right, hypersensitive individuals.
In their health, that was really important to them. So that's when we seeked out these obscure materials. But today it's so readily available.
Today, green materials are mainstream materials. Okay. And you were talking of, what are some of the obstacles, okay? One of the obstacles is a lot of people compare the materials to what was available 10 years ago when the technology was not
Right.
there. And now, you can get wood that's sustainably harvested, you can get finishes that are non-toxic, you can get hard surfaces that what most people like, you can get kitchen cabinets that are made with earth-friendly materials and non-toxic materials. So green is now mainstream, and you can practically find well-established companies now providing you with green products.
Right. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's getting mainstream.
And it's also that obviously is also bringing the prices down, and it's important to consider things as I had mentioned earlier, from cradle to grave, the impact it has on our environment. As long as if we can all do a little bit, it can make a big difference as far as what type of groundwater that we have in the future and air quality, and all these things really do have a great impact on our environment, even though we may consider just our homes, which are super important, but it goes way beyond that. So it's truly can be a win-win, I've found in my experience, and it sounds like you guys share that as well.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's talk about the HVAC system. I know in my remodel, we just put in a SEER 19 train system, and I'll tell you, I am so impressed by that. I can't believe it. You go over next to that compressor outside, and rather than it just like humming away like a car, it is ultra quiet, and you can almost see the fan spinning.
So it's got the variable speed.
Hardly makes any noise at all, and keeps the, it takes a while for the house, because we just turn it on while we're doing the finishes inside, where we're finishing up the remodel, and rather than go in there in the middle of the heat, we've got the air conditioning on, and boy, I tell you, it's just amazing how quiet that system is, as well as efficient. It takes a while for it to cool down the space because it's about 1,300 square feet of an addition.
But you've also incorporated those transfer grills and return airs in each of the rooms.
Oh, yeah. Well,
and I'm sure you did the same.
That's another good thing about the LEED or Scottsdale Green Building rating system, who I believe address
Right,
HVAC.
absolutely. You bet.
It's an area that I'm not an expert in, but with their guidance,
You know what to ask
very
for.
often when people are in the home, they're commenting on how quiet the system is, how cool it is sometimes when it's not even running. So
and the energy that it requires, you put the amps, you have to size the amperage for your units, for your air handler and for your compressor. And my electrician go, okay, what are the requirements here for this air handler? He has no idea it's a SEER 19. I said, well, it's 15 amps. He goes, no, I can't be so. I can't be 15 amps. It's gonna be 30. I said, no, it's 15 amps. Look, read it. He goes, oh my goodness gracious, 15 amps. So it's hard, and he looks at it like, wow, this thing's hardly going to use up any electricity.
So it'll pay for itself quickly.
I think the other benefit too was the appropriate sizing for the home.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And so often
manual J
they
and
do
D.
manual J. So often homes when they're remodeled are not these too big of a unit. It's not necessary.
Well, I think it used to be the contractor could get out there off in front of the road and go, we see that house requires, let me 5 ton.
We'll put a 5 ton in there.
And I think what the problem has been is the contractors justifiably don't want to call back. So without the great advancement of software, today we can accurately assess the building, the structure, the sizing, and have the proper size. And they'd oversize them, and oversizing would have that unit come on and off all day long, causing it to be much less efficient. And as far as dehumidifying, also is affected by that too.
And that's the beauty of that SEER 19.
Right.
It stays on.
All the time.
It stays on pretty much all the time. I haven't seen it go off, but it just goes down to this really low mode, and again, it's super quiet.
And it dehumidifies, and it does its job, right, rather than turning on and off and having those surges.
Yeah, because on the other side, the old part of my house got a SEER 13, and it's a 5 ton, and it just kicks on, and the whole house is vibrating.
It's
and
like
then,
a jet taking off, right?
pretty much, and then it'll shut off, and then another 5-10 minutes later, on it goes again, and you just know it's just drawing an awful lot, way too much energy. Mm-hmm. So there's a big difference. There's a huge difference between my two systems.
Sure.
Which I will be changing out the 5 ton here pretty soon, the 13 SEER.
Well, I'd like to make sure that the audience knows of USGBC can be found on the web, and there's a pilot program, or it was a pilot program, excuse me, that I was involved in 2005, but now it's an official program. That is what Philip had followed, and you can get this on the web. So if you just look under
USGBC, that's the United States Green Building Council.
And the other one is the publication that our city of Scottsdale puts out, very helpful publication. It's about 50 pages long. This can also be found on the web, or you can go down to the one-stop shop and pick it up directly from the staff down there at the planning department.
Right, you can download a PDF also, right,
Yeah.
on the web at the city of
Great
Scottsdale.
guidelines there to help you make these decisions that can impact you and your family and the rest of us as well, and it's really great resources. Also wanted to definitely mention that October 18th, or excuse me,
25th.
is the 25th is the design day the city of Scottsdale is doing, and it's got to do with remodeling right here in our town. And there's going to be look for it in the paper as well as other publications on the city's website and their publications. But on the 25th is Design Day. It's geared for people in Scottsdale and providing guidance to remodeling and home improvements. So that's important to
Right,
to
and
know
it's
as well.
free.
And it's all free.
And
right.
you know where it's located?
This year, well, we have had it at Coronado High School,
Right.
but at the Senior Citizen Center, Senior Center. Yeah.
Granite Reef Senior Center, 1700 North Granite Reef Road.
Right. So put that on your calendar, October 25th.
You know what time?
It'll
during the
it'll
daytime.
be pretty much all day. I think
All
it
day
starts at
event,
10 and
right. I remember
ends
we,
about 4.
I remember sitting there at one of the tables many years
Right,
ago.
we volunteer for
How long
that.
has that been going on? That's been going on for years.
Yeah, and it's been going on. It's been a great program. So it's very much community service. As Doug said, it's free to everybody. There is some criteria to getting some consultation there. So you'll have to look into that if you expect to. You just can't come there that day and get free consultation from the participating architects and designers.
Oh.
But if you get on board now, it's a very good chance. And it's also everything south of Indian Bend. So those of us that live north of Indian Bend, like yourself and me,
Right.
are not eligible for that particular consultation. But lots of great information there. It's going to be a good program again, and I certainly.
Are you going to be consulting?
Oh, I'm sure. Yes.
Well, you won't need any consulting then. Yourself.
That's correct.
Well, then maybe you can consult me. No.
I don't think you'll need it either.
Okay. Well, you know, there's a couple of things that I thought maybe we should talk about before we wrap up here, and that is the electronics in a home, such as light sensors. I know my kids, you know, they leave their closet light on, they leave their bathroom light on, but you know they're 7 and 8 years old. Did you put any sensors in your house at all? I mean, for like closets, and if, I mean, they're really simple to do. You take your light switch off, and you put a sensor, a motion detector, and it's that simple. You can adjust it for 15 seconds or 15 minutes, but the second you walk in, it automatically goes on, and when you walk out, whatever you set it for, it'll shut itself off.
Or the bathroom exhaust fan, having it on a timer.
Yeah, and as well, also if you have a recirculating pump for your hot water system, also works on a sensor in your bathrooms, which is a great thing. If you on the other side of the house, if you're really close, you don't even, you know, if your
You don't need it.
bathroom's close to your or in your kitchen is close to your utility, to your hot water, then of course you don't have to have that. But
More times than not, it's more than 25 feet, so well, it doesn't require it, but it's a good idea that way. We've all had experience of waiting a long time for water and watching the water go down the drain. So
The electronics, for example, in the home I did, is everything, all the appliances are Energy Star,
sure.
right,
and
How
that's
important.
helped cut down on.
You've got some LEDs.
Yeah, I do have LEDs, and there's always going to be the trade-off with green. And there's some that say that LEDs aren't as green as other options, but
Such as fluorescence.
one thing that they are good is they're not as hot as, say, a CFL.
yeah, sure.
The heat is 108 degrees versus 170
Right.
on a bulb.
Or a halogen, which is 1200 or something.
1200, and then the longevity. So they say that these will last 120,000 hours, which extends it out 20 years, I believe,
Oh yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's
per
fantastic.
bulb. So,
Right.
but so electronic-wise, you know, even the TV is a Energy Star TV.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of the appliances today, you know, if they're not up to the Energy Star compliance, they're
They're
pretty much
dated.
They're
behind.
dated. They're dated,
They're
yeah.
pretty much behind. Yeah, the
That's been a really good program that the EPA
yeah,
put
that worked
together.
out really well.
Yeah, it's a great guidance for all of us in picking all kinds of appliances, hot water heaters, washing machines, and
Right.
and so on.
Well, it's time to wrap this up, and we really appreciate you coming down to the lecture on October 2nd at 7 p.m. These two guys will talk about everything and much more than we talked about here today, and also you can ask them questions. Remember to reduce, reuse, and recycle. Think sustainable, Scottsdale. See you next time. Bye-bye.